All right. So we're going to talk about agency, ethics, and the law. Okay. So again, we have tonight, we're going to talk about the corporate values and business environments, the distinction between law, ethics, and morals. We're also going to deal with the federal and state laws relating to conduct. And of course, we're going to go through a lot of different statutes. So we'll talk about TRAILA and the rules of the commission, the professional codes of ethics, the canons of professional conduct, as well as the minimum ethical standards. So the key thing in this situation is we're going to be dealing with the corporate values and the business environment. Okay? Business and political communities face high level of public scrutiny every single day. Every single day they deal with scrutiny. There's oftentimes very big and major fallouts because of major ethical scandals in high-profile corporations. One of the biggest one that's known around this area is Enron. Okay. That also lends to the credence of the popular view that general moral decay and public abuse is on the rise. Okay. It's very sad in those situations. Individual licensees are often tempted to risk unethical behavior for a bottom line gain. Come on, Travis, certainly, man, you cannot tell them about the termites that I just, we found. Don't say nothing to Mr. Eugene. We don't want to kill the deal. We want to make the deal happen. We're on the same page, right, Travis? So what happens here? We're trying to make ourselves look good. And then when Mr. Eugene finds out, what do we say? We didn't know nothing
about that.
What? No, never.
Termite.
We don't know termites.
What's
Never. You must have put them there, Mr. Eugene. You went and found them and put them in the house. That's what it was.
How could you?
Yeah. So again, you run into these different situations. So So the distinctions between law, ethics, and morals is very important. So law is defined as principles, regulations that are established by community authority and applicable to its people, whether in the form of legislation or custom and policies that are recognized and enforced by judicial decisions. Okay? The law represents what we are required to do. Did you see that? We are required to do it. It's not optional. And it is enforceable by what? Government entities. Okay? While ethics, and you got to know these differences, ethics is the rules of conduct that's recognized in respect to a particular class of human actions or a particular group and or culture. It refers to commonly accepted standards of conduct or actions. They are frequently refined and tailored to specific industries or companies, and it may be enforced against their members or their employees. Okay? So as you can see here, the law is what? It's required, period. That's it. You must do it. While ethics is a group or an association or a company that has a certain standard that they adhere to. So if you break the law, you go where, Travis? If Linda breaks the law and steals money, where does she go to?
Prison.
Why is that?
Because she done broke the law.
What if she ends up, she goes over and she lies to her employer, and it's a breach of ethics. Does she still go to prison? No.
I gotta torture you.
Not in that situation. You end up here in law, you break the law, you can go to jail. While over here with ethics, you end up in that situation, you may get banned or kicked out of that association. Okay? Now, morals, however, these are things that are founded on the principles of right or wrong. Okay? So either right or correct rather than on legalities. Okay? It's the enactment of a custom. It's a moral obligation. You often find your morals from who? From your family, your parents, your environment. You hear this thing all the time. You've ever heard this from your parents. What do they always say, Cody? Treat others how what? How you want to be treated. You want to be treated rude? No. You want people to take advantage of you? No. Then you don't do it to other people. Although Linda taught me the opposite. But I had to throw that one in there.
Where is that iron skill? Anybody got a belt? I'll whoop you real quick.
Who your belt?
You have to already be put in the corner. I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's why I teach over in the corner. If you notice. So, but it deals with the person's personal beliefs or actions. Again, they can be enforced only by your what? Your conscience. Okay? That's why people that steal, they oftentimes after a while, what happens?
They go back and do it again.
Not always do they go back, they feel bad about it. If they really have a conscience
Yes.
and they steal,
they'll
they
go-
feel horrible and they want to make it right.
That's right.
Okay? But again, it's only enforced by your own conscience. Okay? Unless those actions violate the legal rights of others. Now, if you break the law, then you're going to jail.
Yep.
Okay? But if you steal and you don't get caught, what happens? Your conscience will mess with you. Okay? So the legal and ethical guidelines for licensees. How do you like all that? This is everything that affects you as a real estate agent. How do you like all that? The federal law, the Texas General Civil and Criminal Statutes, the local municipality codes and ordinances, TRELA, TREC rules, private professional codes of ethics, such as the Realtor Code of Ethics, the Real Estate Company Code of Ethics or policies, and the individual ethics and moral principles. All of these affect you somehow. Every one of them. So while Miss Linda, you may get away and skirt the law amongst TREC and TRELA, you might get caught by any of the civil or criminal statutes on the book in Texas. Okay? You have to watch how you deal with these. So the key thing that you got to deal with is in regards to the federal laws that relate to conduct. One of the biggest ones that is on the market is the Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay? The Sherman Antitrust Act basically states that it does not allow price fixing, which means that Cody, if you're a broker and I'm a broker and Travis is a broker here in Bryan College Station, that Cody, you and Travis and I cannot sit down at the table and say, all right, everybody, all right, guys, here's what we're going to do. Everybody's over everywhere else, they're getting 3%. We're going to raise amongst our own firms, we're going to kick it up to 12%. And we're the only brokers in town, so guess what happens? They're going to have to do what, Travis? They got to use our 12%, right? Well, that is breaking the Sherman Antitrust Act. You cannot, in the situation, price fix. You also cannot boycott. You cannot go over and say, I, as a Keller Williams agent, is going to boycott Century 21. We're not going to show their listings. Okay? It has to be fair. You also have to have certain market division or customer modification. You got to be careful how you deal with that. And other agreements among competitors. Competitors cannot come to the table and try to control things. Okay? The Truth in Lending Act. The Truth in Lending Act basically requires that all credit institutions, like we talked in finance class, must inform consumers of the true cost of obtaining credit. You cannot lie to them. You have to give them the true cost. The Fair Housing Act prohibits the discrimination of housing based on the race, the color, national origin, religion, sex, familiar status, or disability. You cannot discriminate on any of these elements. That is either expressed or implied. What do I mean by that?
Either you cannot do it, like acting like you're not going to do it, or actually saying.
Let's do this. Let me put it in this way. Say, Cody, you don't like Asian people. You just don't like it. Okay? Cody does not like Asian people. Well, is that a violation here pursuant to the fair housing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to say that Mr. Grossman's Asian. Okay? He comes to the office, to y'all's real estate office. He walks into Miss Linda. He comes in here and he says, "I'm going to buy a house, but I only have $100,000." And Miss Linda says, "Well, my only agent in the office is Mr. Cody. Let me see if he's available."
Yep.
So she goes and talks to Cody, and Cody says, "Well, how much do they want, Miss Linda? 100,000. Okay. Well, what do they look like?" "Well, he's an Asian gentleman." "I don't got time for him. I'm all of a sudden busy."
I don't care. Get up and get
What's
out here.
the problem, Cody?
I'm refusing to give my services to him based on.
You are refusing to provide services that are required by law because you have a bias discrimination against him. Okay? Now, let me ask this. Let's say that you know that Miss Linda is just a pain in the butt. And when she comes out,
Gotta give her my name.
she walks out, or she comes in and she says, "Cody, hey, Cody, need you in the front. Got a client." And you're like, "I'm Cody Wilson. How you doing?
That's pathetic.
What do you need?" "A house." "What do you want?" "A house." "What kind?"
We don't do that.
"It's got 4 walls and a roof." "Let's go looking, son. What's the problem?"
Excited. It's implied that you don't want to help.
Exactly. It is implied you're discriminating against them.
That's right.
Does not have to be verbal.
Action
Your
speaks
actions.
louder- Action speaks louder than words.
Your actions. You go out there and you come in like,
I'm so excited.
"I don't want to deal with this." Well, guess what?
No.
You broke the law. You can get sued. Not only you, but Miss Linda, what happens if Cody does that? Who also gets in trouble? Me.
Yep.
Because of his action.
Yep.
He didn't get trained right. Exactly. You cannot. Now let me phrase this one more way though. What if a client, and I've had this happen before, client walked into an old brokerage I was and walked in and asked, literally, we'll just hypothetically play this out. Say that Stephen walks in the door. He's an Asian gentleman. He walks in the door and he says, "You got any clients or agents in here?" And you say, "Well, yeah, let me get Cody." "I don't want no Caucasian. I don't want them. I want Asian person only."
We don't have no Asian.
Now what do you do?
We don't have one.
What do you do in that situation?
That's- He's still this.
That's not you being discriminated.
Are you being?
They should be punished for their actions.
Huh?
They should be punished. Yes, you would be discriminating because he's not a client yet, so you don't have to yes, because he doesn't want, or if you abide by his wishes, you would be discriminating against other of your agents.
That's right.
So you technically would be by doing what
You have to be very careful when that happens. While you do have an obligation to do the best you can to accommodate, If somebody says, and this has happened before too, if a lady walks into a firm and says, I don't want to deal with any male agents, you need to accommodate that client. But if you don't have any female agents, then you do this. I'm sorry, Miss Davenport. Say it's Miss Davenport. I'm sorry, Miss Davenport, but we do not actually have any female agents in the office at this time. However, I have a couple that I could call, but they probably won't be available for a couple of days. However, Cody's here in the office. He would be more than glad to go show you. And to make it even more comfortable, what should also happen? Miss Linda could say, what? If you would like me to, I'll go along with you, with Cody, and we can go look at properties. However, I am not a what, Miss Linda?
An agent.
I'm not an agent. Now it puts it back on who?
Them.
Puts it back to Miss Davenport to make a what? Is it a decision? Do I want to proceed or do I not?
If you were to like abide by her, like, hey, I don't want a male agent, that would technically, if you did that would technically be the same as.
This though protects who? Now look at how the laws wrote. Protecting the client, not the agent. You see what I'm saying? While it would be a breach here, yes,
But
it's not for your protection as an agent. It's for who? It's for Miss Davenport in that situation.
Same as the ESC.
Yes, sir.
But what do if the firm doesn't have an Asian person at all?
You politely tell them, like I said. I'm sorry, Mr. Grossman. We do not have any Asian agents that are in the office.
But I'm saying we don't have none at all, period.
That's
That's the same thing.
Go buy one? No.
You end up, the proper protocol is if Mr. Grossman walked in my office and he said, I want only an Asian agent. I want to because of culture. Then you tell Mr. Grossman, you say to Mr. Grossman, I apologize, but we do not have anyone in this office that is of Asian descent. I do have Mr. Cody that is in our office. He would be more than happy to assist you. He is very capable, I can tell you that. Would you still like to meet him? Again, who did I put it back to? I put it back on Stephen to do what? And if he says no, then I'm sorry, there's nothing that I can do. And if they say, well, who do you recommend? I'm sorry, I don't know anyone. Okay? But yes, Cody, I know where you were coming from on your angle, but you got to look at where the law comes from.
I was overthinking it.
Mhm. This is for the client, not for you as an individual. Now, if you were not a licensee, there's protections for you as well. But we got to look at this from a licensee's perspective. Okay? So a lot of people think the only way that you can be discriminated is everybody just thinks this one. That's the only way.
Nope.
No. You can be discriminated based on your religion. You can be discriminated. I've dealt with something like this. Just because you're married and have a family. Just because you're married and have a family. You can have disability. Okay? People can be discriminated on any of these. Any. Okay? But you have a duty to make certain that you don't discriminate. Okay? And I'll tell you, just FYI, in my office, I find out discrimination gone. I'll just be honest with you. Because I don't play with that. We treat everybody fairly. That's how my parents taught me, and that's how life is. Okay? Now, the environmental law. Okay? There can be things that can have hazards on property. Miss Linda, you could be buying a property, and Mr. Cody back here doesn't tell you that he built this brand new nice subdivision on a landfill. Could there be problems, Miss Linda? Yeah. There's certain EPA laws. The biggest of them is lead. Somebody had a wild idea that's a perfect idea to start painting walls with lead. Because Thank you, Travis. It tastes good. Tastes good. That's what it was.
Yeah, I love it.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet, tastes good.
Man,
Oh, Lord.
probably was my dad actually. I could see him sitting down in his recliner, and he didn't want to go to the kitchen, so he's just like, "Oh, let's peel some paint off the wall." on the
Y'all,
inside."
that is not true.
Take a trip, never leave the house.
No. Oh, my God.
But yes, lead is a very big concern. It really is.
All that again.
No.
Oh, yeah, and eat it all up.
Ate it all up.
But, oh, by the way, Stefan painted that wall by you, so you got some
Would you just
snack.
keep moving on these people wanting to learn like we are?
But we have again, if there is a lead, and let's test my two guys here. What year?
1978.
8. I said an 8.
No,
Uh-huh.
you did
looking
not.
at
You
nine.
said
I heard eight.
1979.
8.
1978.
8.
Who
I
said
heard
that?
eight.
Stefan, I heard 1978, didn't
I
I?
did
You
that.
said 78.
Travis,
I
the
heard
first time he said 79, you said 78.
Yes,
Okay.
Not you.
That's right.
January 1st, before January 1st, 1978, you have to provide this
I
disclosure.
graduated. Oh,
Okay? You have to provide that disclosure. No ifs, ands, buts. The Americans with Disability Act. It requires that reasonable accommodation, key word there, reasonable accommodation, in employment and access to goods, services, and public buildings. Okay, you have to provide reasonable accommodations in employment, access to goods, services, and public services. What's another key word up there? Talked about it before we jumped into this chapter. It starts with an E. Employment. So does that apply to anybody that's a real estate agent? You're not. If you're an independent contractor, does it apply? No, because you're not an employer. You're not an employee-employer relationship. You're an independent contractor. So you got to be careful there. And the Texas Workforce Commission handles it. Okay. The Equal Credit Opportunity, the ECOA. It prohibits discrimination in the lending process based on the credit applicant's race, color, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, age, or receipt of public assistance. You cannot decline somebody because they are getting Social Security or because they're getting maybe child support or things to that nature or unemployment. You cannot deny them for that situation. There is the Community Reinvestment Act. We've already talked about this in another class. If you want to click on the link and discuss it and go into it more detail, you're more than welcome. Okay. The Home Mortgage Disclosure Act makes certain data public that can be used to assist in, among other things, identifying possible discriminatory lending practices. Okay. There has to be certain disclosures that have to be provided. The Texas DTPA, and we have gone in extensive coverage in previous classes, and guess what? We're going to go in a lot more coverage in the next chapter. Not doing that this evening, tomorrow, but the DTPA is very key, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. The Texas Fair Housing Act. It closely mirrors the Fair Housing Act. However, it adds ancestry as an additional protected class. So when you take your test, guess what happens? Guess what happens?
Lies.
They're going to ask you, they're going to ask you, or like the difference here, Texas Fair Housing. If they talk about Texas Fair Housing, you need to remember to add ancestry. If they ask you just fair housing, ancestry does not count. Does that make sense? Texas also deals with fraud in real estate transactions. This is covered in the Texas or in the Business and Commerce Code. There is fraud that occurs. It is not going to end up being being something that's going to be easily handled. Fraud is not something that they play with. The Texas Property Code, in regards to the seller's disclosure of property conditions. The agent should not give advice or assist in filling out this form, period. If the seller doesn't provide the form, then the buyer can terminate the contract without default and get the earnest money back. Seller's disclosure has to be completed by the seller, not by the agent. We're not trying to make things look pretty. That needs to be completed by the seller. There's also local municipal codes and ordinances, such as city building codes, habitability and occupational codes, or occupancy codes, and fair housing ordinances. All three of these are very important. You cannot move an individual into a property unless there is an occupancy approval. Okay? TRAILA, like I talked this evening. TRAILA, of course, as we've discussed, is the License Act. It stipulates the statutes that are specific to licensees. It establishes the baseline of conduct, as well as the laundry list of violations that result from revocation and suspension of a license. There's also criminal and civil prosecution under these statutes, and TRAILA is in your textbook in the back. And let me tell you something, on your real estate exam, you need to know TRAILA. You take my prep course, I'll give you everything you need to know to pass it. If you're not taking the prep course, you need to know TRAILA. Okay? Again, the Texas Real Estate Commission is administered by TRAILA. There are 9 commissioners, 6 brokers, and 3 public members, and they're empowered to enact on the rules and regulations given to them by TRAILA. Professional codes of conduct and ethics is that the businesses and professions adopt voluntary but enforceable codes. Again, when you become a real estate agent, you will most likely join NAR and TAR. Each of these have a certain standard of practice and codes of ethics. TREC themselves also has a canons of professional ethics and conducts, meaning that you have to rule basically off of these canons here: fidelity, integrity, competency, consumer information, and discriminatory practices. You have a duty to follow through with each one of those. This, of course, gives you an example of that particular breakdown in regards to the boards. NAR Code of Ethics and Professional Standards is the oldest, say that again, it's the oldest ethics code. Okay? Over 50% of licensees are members. And the only way that you can call yourself a realtor is to be part of NAR. Okay? Only members obligated to adhere to NAR codes. If you're not a member, you don't have to adhere to it. However, if you're not a member, good luck getting in showing houses. Okay? NAR code offers guidelines for all licensees. These, however, are your minimum. This is your bare bottom here, okay? Your standards. Individual company policy, procedure, and code of ethics. Brokers are required to develop a written policy and procedures manual. Many brokers address ethical standards in their manuals. Sometimes associates sign affidavits agreeing to abide by those ethical policies. And it is also imperative that there are conducting of trainings so that they can make certain that their agents are knowledgeable. Okay? The personal beliefs and individual ethics. These are personal and core beliefs. There is no need for professional code or statutes if everyone were to adhere to their own core beliefs. If we all were to do the golden rule, we wouldn't need all these codes. Okay? Unfortunately, people do what? They do their own thing, and they try to steal, rob, and everything so that they can end up bettering themselves. Personal ethics sometimes will conflict with professional codes and statutes. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I take a minute here to talk about this. You may or may not agree with some of the laws that come down. You may not agree with some of the rules that happen. One of the biggest ones that I always talk about this semester or this chance is the passing of same-sex marriage. The courts have said that it is what? It's legal. However, your personal ethics and morals may say what? It's not, it's wrong. Okay? So your morals and ethics may say this is completely wrong, but the law says it's okay. Now, if you don't want to if you don't want to deal with those people, then guess what? You just don't get your license. Okay? But if you want to make money, what have we talked about so far? You have to treat everybody what? Fairly. Has to all be fair and equal. Okay? So say that Mr. Cody, you are a staunch, say, conservative, and you are 100% against same-sex marriage. And then you have Mr. Grossman come in with his husband to the office. Okay, and he walks in, and he said, and he comes to you, Miss Linda, and says, "I'm looking to listen." He comes in, he says, "We're looking to purchase a property." Okay. First question, Miss Linda, can you refuse service to Mr. Grossman and his husband?
No,
Why not?
because you cannot discriminate.
Can Cody refuse to provide service to Mr. Grossman?
He's not supposed to, but he can do his own thing.
No.
No.
Well, Justin
No.
gets sued, then yeah, sure, but
Cody has to, if he is a licensed individual, publicly offering services to the public, he has to represent whoever is given to him. Now, Cody, so does that mean, can you give Stefan subpar assistance? You mean you can't just walk around like we talked earlier and just, you can't do that?
No, sir, because then that would be me implying that I do not want to help them.
Exactly. What is the proper way do you think that you should handle that?
Just treat them as if I didn't know they were homosexuals.
That's one way, or what's another way?
Pass it to another agent.
He could come to his broker and he could say, just say I was your broker, Mr. Nobles, I do not feel comfortable going and showing Stefan properties. I don't feel comfortable. And because of that, is there a way that you could assign them to another person? Okay. By all means, I would try to accommodate it, but there might be a situation I can't, if you see what I'm saying. So you have to be very careful, especially if Stefan specifically asked for you to be his agent. Do you see the thing? If he came in and you helped, say you helped Travis, a good friend of Stefan, and you got Travis one of the best deals that are out there, okay? And you've helped him, and Travis talked very highly of you to Stefan. Guess what? He comes in and he says, Miss Linda, I want to talk to Cody because Cody helped Travis and we want him to represent us. What do you think the chances of me being able to reassign you?
Wouldn't be good.
Not going to be pretty good because his expectations are what? He wants you. Okay? So I'm going to tell you this. There will be times that your personal ethics and morals may be in conflict with those codes or statutes. But I'll tell you how I tell everybody this. I don't care if you have a racist bone or you, what's the other word? You don't like certain religions or you're homophobic. Or this is how I look at everybody. Across the board. How I look at everybody. I tell my students this every semester. if you look at Stephen, not as him being in that situation with him and his husband, but you look at both of them as a dollar sign and not look at anything else.
Their money spent's just as good as a straight person.
Exactly. You look at the people not based of color or of their race, their religion, their disability, or whatever. Don't look at any of that. Their money is what? Their money is good, just like anything else. My parents have taught me many different things. I've got different things that my parents have created. I have certain moral and ethical standards. I do. But I also know when I walk in this door every single day, what do I have to do at the door? I have to take my personal life and do what? Sit at the door and go in and do my job. Okay? That is my job. That is my duty. But you will be put in a situation where you'll be in conflict. You have to stay professional. You have to stay professional. So, there are some practical matters that are in here. We're not going to go through those this evening. Okay? We're not going to go through these. I want you to go through these on your own. Okay? If you've got questions on these, send me an email. I'll be more than glad to go through them. But there are a couple of different types of examples that are provided. There are 3 there. Okay? We're going to go ahead and jump into this. A practical guide for everyday practice. Some of the things you need to know is, what are your long-term goals? What are your short-term benefits? And what are the interests of immediate stakeholders? These are some good, helpful pointers to help you have an understanding of everyday practice. I will tell you, and Miss Linda and Mr. Stahl and Mr. Grossman can tell you, and even Mr. Cody can tell you. Miss Davenport now is going to start seeing it too. Is real estate every day the exact same thing every single day, Miss Linda? Every day it's the exact same thing, just over and over.
Nope.
It's not a 9 to 5, doesn't Francis?
Nope, you can have you a to-do list, and you can kiss that to-do list right away.
How often do you get to do your to-do list?
I'm still trying to get that one done that I haven't finished yet.
My hope is never. My hope is to keep her busy where she never gets it done. I try every day.
You did very well, Travis.
Oh, thank you.
Don't try any harder. Any harder, don't try no more.
Exactly. So, of course, real estate is never a normal day. When people say, man, I want to become a real estate agent because it's going to be just easy. HGTV just makes it so easy. You just go show 3 houses, and they buy the house, and there's no problems, and then they move in. It's not easy.
Nope.
Right, Travis?
I think we should start a TV show, actually.
We should start a TV show, the reality of real estate,
Yeah.
right? Okay? Miss Heather, I know she's got plenty. I know she's probably listening. She's got plenty to add to our book, Mr. Travis. So
Nice.
we could do plenty of series, okay?
I'm excited.
Stephen could do a whole show just on his one client.
Yeah, just did you hear Stephen?
Yeah, I know that's right.
So, but again, you end up,
That would be like the top seller.
but you end up in this situation, you're going to have plenty of information that's out there. Again, these are just some of the practical guides. I'm not going to go through these. These are things that you, as a real estate agent, need to be answering, okay? And I'm just kind of going through these, but the key thing is that these are things that you, as a real estate agent, you have an obligation that you need to think of those things during your everyday practice, okay? Again, the basic and most common sense of all in regards to the alternative solution is what, Miss Linda?
Do unto others.
What's that mean, Miss Linda?
Do unto others as you
Do unto others, except if they are this certain race, right? Or if they're this certain color, or they're this certain religion. Is that what it says?
No.
What does it say, Miss Linda?
Do unto others as you want to. And basically how you treat others.
How you want to be treated. You do unto others as you want to be treated. Okay? You don't get to pick, well, I'm going to be nice to Travis, but not to Stefan. No, it's got to be across the board fairness, period. Okay? Miss Linda, real quick before I jump in here, what would happen if when I was a little kid, if I came home and I said, Mommy, I don't like Asian people, or Mommy, I don't like these religious people, or Mom, what would you have done to me? What would you told me?
Piece of crap.
I would tell you, son. No, I would not neither.
What would you have done, Miss Linda?
What I did do
Yes.
is they are the same just like you. They breathe the same air just like you. They bleed like you. And you need to look at them from the inside, not from the
She would
outside.
beat you up and then beat Eugene up.
That's right. Yeah.
Y'all, help me here, y'all.
But she's right. You treat others as you want to be treated.
That's right.
Period. Again, it's found in all recorded religions and incorporated in all codes of ethics.
Yeah.
The answers, most ethical questions are arising in licensees' interactions with consumers and peers. You have to treat people the same. Okay? When enough is enough, simply reporting illegal or unethical behavior is not always going to be enough. It may meet statutory requirement for reporting, but unfortunately, who's actually following up? There's an example in your book that y'all can read to go into this. There will be times, guys and gals, I'm sorry to tell you this, but there will be times in your career that you will be faced with somebody that does unethical behavior. And you have to sometimes take a stand. If you see somebody, like I've shown in the video in one of the other lectures, where there was a guy that ended up, or a couple, they were an Indian couple, that they were treated wrong by a realtor. You need to stand up and you need to say that's not right. You need to take a stance. What do you do when the supervisors appear to have not taken any action? Say that Miss Linda told me that Cody is being racist, and I've not done anything about it, Mr. Travis. What should you do? You're not a boss, you're just an agent. Miss Linda's told me, and I haven't done nothing about it. Should you just let it go?
Can you report you to
He can report me to Trek.
Detroit?
He can report me to Trek. But should Travis, but let's say this also. Trek gets complaints every single day, tons of them. It's impossible for Trek to get to everybody. Last time I heard they're 3 years behind, maybe 4 years behind now. By that time, what's going to happen? They forgot about it.
Miami.
Yeah, I'm in Miami by then, right?
Him and that Miami.
So what should Travis do, Mr. Eugene? If say in this situation that Cody, say Miss Davenport walked in and Cody was very rude to her, talked down to her, did all that stuff. Miss Linda comes, tells me about it, and I'm just like, I'll get to that later. That's not
One,
important.
that ain't gonna happen.
Well, hold on. We're playing this out.
Look it up.
What should Travis do, Mr. Eugene, if I am not taking it serious? I'm just blowing it off. Because we'll say that I'm a racist too, so I agree with Cody. What should Cody do? Or Travis
Why
do?
you do that to me? Anyway, he should point out that something should be done. If not, he himself should take it up himself to call Trek or something and report you.
Should he take her as his client and do everything?
He
with her?
should try to take her. But what happens if I go over and I'm like,
Uh,
Travis, you're just being a pain in my butt. Get out of here, man. I'm terminating you. Could I do that?
Technically, yes.
Yeah.
Probably could. Yeah.
But do you see what they're trying to say here? Sometimes just reporting doesn't actually work. And it's sad. It's sad. There are some times that people will do that. Travis wants to get me in trouble because I'm being wrong. I'm not doing the right thing. So Travis is trying to do the right thing. And then I just walk in and say, Miss Linda, Travis is being such a pain. Fire him. Yes, I can. I can terminate it.
You said, Miss Linda.
I can come in and tell you to file the termination paperwork. You can get that. You're the manager.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm gonna give you the puppy dog eyes. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do it. Linda. I don't. Please don't.
Do you see the problem?
I'll be like that.
You cannot, you gotta watch. There are sometimes there are people that their broker is discriminatory just like the agents. And it's sad. Okay? Sometimes maybe Travis should go find out who one of the broker friends I'm a friend with and do what?
Talk to him.
Go tell that broker. Say Stephan's a broker friend of mine. What could he do? Come tell Stephan, can you talk to Justin? This situation occurred. Can you talk to him? Or maybe talk to Stephan and see Stephan how he recommends. Because maybe Stephan might need to go tell the board that he's part of. Yeah, I'm the board. But the key thing here is you have to be very careful. We're not going to go into it too much because I want to keep going.
Let's keep going.
So even when armed with a basic moral and ethical foundation and solid organizational codes and guidelines to follow, individuals still must put through difficult tests of their ethical mettle. So the bottom line of ethics is, in general, most people will never be exposed to formal ethics training. You know why most people don't get exposed to ethics training? Let's be real here. And Ms. Davenport, you work for the county, and you're probably just like me, Ms. Davenport, because I work for a governmental institution myself. When you had to take those ethics trainings, most of the time it was boring as heck, wasn't it? And if you could take your cell phone in, what you do? Play on your cell phone, read a book, something else, right? Okay? Because the thing is, people don't actually understand ethics. You don't understand, Cody, what Linda goes through as a woman. Linda doesn't understand what you go through as a young college guy. I don't understand what Miss Davenport's gone through in her life, just like she doesn't understand mine. But it's very difficult to put that into a presentation. Until you walk those people's shoes, you don't know what they go through. I could put Miss Davenport up here talking about her story, but Mr. Eugene's sitting in there going, playing on the phone. It's very difficult in these situations. Fortunately, in most cases, certain core beliefs have to be basically included into the by the parents, schools, communities, churches, states, and countries. This is what we call the environment. Okay? Just like what happened with the Capitol thing with Trump. That in itself shows you what? Your environment does what? I could get up here and I could rally y'all up and get y'all to do some stuff and get y'all pumped up and then make y'all go do some stuff. And then after the fact, what do? Regret it. It's the same thing. Is your environment has a what? Think about this. It has a huge impact. Think about school. I remember being in class one time. Teacher was running late. Okay? 5 minutes goes by. What happens, those of you that's been in class before? 5 minutes goes by. What do students start talking about?
And 10 more minutes, we're out of here.
Yeah, 10 more minutes.
10 minutes, I'm out of here.
10 more minutes, we're gone.
10 minutes has passed. Now what happens?
5 more minutes, guys.
5 more minutes.
Somebody lock the door.
Uh-huh. And then, here we go. All of a sudden, I walk in. Okay, here I come walking in. And it's been 15 minutes, and here I come to open the door, and what's happening?
All the kids coming out.
They're all about to walk out.
Yeah.
They're all about to walk out. The thing is that you have to understand that people do end up, they're influenced by other people. Okay? To make a decision, you have to first know the law and the codes. You have to apply that knowledge to your decisions. The Golden Rule still offers a firm foundation for business ethics and applies in every case. So the key points is that real estate is in today's public spotlight in relations to ethical conduct. It is especially in it right now. There was a Texas real estate agent that actually went and was involved in the Capitol riot. Guess what? When I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago, we were having to talk about that with our big people and all of that because I'm on the board. Huge thing we were talking about because it was a huge PR issue for not only just the association, but every person that used the name realtor. Because one person. Ethical obligations are distinguished from legal obligations because ethics goes beyond the law. Mr. Eugene may end up, he may hate college students. He hates them. He may end up, he purposely causes you issues. Cody, you live next door to him. He's constantly giving you hell. Well, guess what? He's breaking the law, but what's the bigger thing? He has an ethical issue. Because he's going to continue to do that because he does not know right from wrong. Okay? Licensees are governed by assorted federal, state, local laws, as well as TRALA and TREC. Some licensees are members of trade associations and have additional duties regarding association and ethical standards. Of course, the decisions and actions should be viewed in light of long and short-term goals of the company and the licensees. And the Golden Rule, of course, is your baseline in these manners. As brokers, we need to adopt and implement a written company code of conduct and have associates sign these statements indicating that they have read, understood, and agreed to abide by the code. It is extremely important that you offer training. So the first question, discuss how the Golden Rule works in a real estate practice. Miss Linda, real quick, how does a Golden Rule basically work in a real estate practice? No. Go ahead, Miss Linda. Mr. Grossman?
Yeah.
I want you and Mr. Travis to do the last part. So come on up like we did, because they're coming in.
Real estate
Any questions? Okay, go through them real quick. Real quick, like I did yesterday. Pick on somebody online, let's get it going. Okay, Linda,
My line is just.
how does the Golden Rule, so
Treat others the way that you want to be treated.
so how does it work in the real estate practice? So can I be discriminatory as a broker to Miss Davenport because she's a
No.
different race than me?
No,
Why not?
you're supposed to treat each one equally.
So
There you go.
how does it apply in real estate practice? So one, I need to treat others the same.
Right,
What's another thing?
don't discriminate.
Okay, can I treat my clients differently if I don't like them? No, can I allow my agents to do it?
No,
If I was a client, I want to be treated fairly. So
That's right.
basically how.
So there you go. Next one. Okay, I was like, is that the whole thing?
no.
I had to look.
Okay, pick on somebody.
Have you read the real estate policy manual?
Honestly, just anybody.
Actually, to be honest with you, here's the key thing.
As anybody.
I haven't even read that thing.
You haven't even read it?
No, I'm kidding. I read it.
Nice cover.
I read Look at that.
So
He's
by
got
the
it in the
way, this, I don't know, I'm gonna turn on the light, so it's gonna be bright. So those of you that are at home,
Oh,
this is a policy manual. This is a real estate policy. This one is the brokerage, the TAR, and this is my personal one. Although you'll notice they're a lot smaller, thanks to her, thanks to Linda. They used to be a book.
Yeah, well, it was.
But again, we've cut them down. But these are your policies and procedures. And what does it cover? It's going to cover everything that are rules by not only just my brokerage, but also by Texas Association of Realtors. Okay? Go to the next.
Where is your mask?
Huh?
Where's your mask?
Oh,
We
she caught us.
good, everybody. We're good. We're good.
Uh-huh.
There is no next.
That's it? Oh, good.
Oh, we did it.
Hold on. Okay, Miss Linda, can you see anything? Okay, we're good.
We have masks.
Good one.
Everybody hides.
All right, so go ahead and stop the recording there.